Okay, so we're just going to go through a quick overview of a program that the CMHA runs. Well, actually a couple of programs, and then happy to answer any questions beyond that. So mental health, well, first of all, how many of you in the last week have been stressed? If you're not all raising your hand, you're lying to me. I know that for a fact. And so the background that I come from is, I come from a military background actually, so I'm quite familiar with the mental health continuum. I'm very familiar with that continuum. And I'm actually not a huge fan of it in the application for many organizations, for many occupations. Because to be quite frank, most of us can experience mental illness, but still experience wonderful mental health. And when the layperson looks at that continuum and they try to pinpoint what they're experiencing or what they might experience in the past or have experienced in the past, they come to a conclusion that they are injured or that they are ill. And what that does is that actually prevents that mechanism of defining yourself as injured or defining yourself as ill, regardless of whether or not you're experiencing a state of flourishing, right, actually impacts your ability to resolve issues or the ability to move into a period of recovery, right? Specifically when we're talking about traumatic injuries, so things like PTSD, OSI, or workplace-related stress, chronic stress. So I much prefer to use this model, and really what it looks to impart to you is the fact that we can take concrete steps in any workplace, especially as leaders in the workplace, in order to ensure that our staff are flourishing, right? And not only that our staff are flourishing, but that the workplace is flourishing as well. And so the question that I always tell leaders when I go into a workplace, and whether it's the consulting end of our business or whether it's the just the training arm of the business, is I ask, are you bringing your whole self to work? I hate the term work-life balance, right? Because in our heads, I think we picture a teeter-totter, or the scales of justice. And if we have work, and that's really, we're experiencing great work life, we're being promoted, we're seeing raises, well, obviously our life is going to be suffering because of that, right? But if we're experiencing a great home life, right? We love our time with our families, taking the dog out for a walk, going on vacations, then obviously work needs to be suffering because we're spending so much time focused on home. And that's not, I think, the idea of what we have when we think we have a great home life and a great work life. It's this idea that we're bringing our whole selves to work, right? And then more importantly than that, at the end of the day, when you go home, are you bringing your whole self back home with you? Because all of us, when we show up to work, we put on our suit of armor, our full battle rattle, right? We go to the office, and it might be a suit, or it might be a hard hat, right? Or it might be a fragmentation vest, but we all put that on in some way, shape, or form, and the hope is that when we come back home at the end of the day to our families or to our partners, that we're our whole selves as well, right? We shouldn't have to hide anything at work. We shouldn't have to throw on that battle rattle to show up at the office, but we also should be taking our whole selves back home at us at the end of the day instead of leaving pieces of ourselves behind. And so with that in mind, the Canadian Mental Health Association has a program. It's called Mental Health Works. And that started really as a research project in 2001 and as a partnership research project. So it's been around for 18 years now. In 2004, we actually began selling products, so training products to the business community, first here in Ontario and then nationally. And there were originally 6 workshops that really looked to identify ways that managers could interact with staff and have some of those difficult conversations, right, about complex issues. Today we have a revamped program. It underwent a rewrite in around 2015, 2014, right before I came onto staff. And currently we have 7 modules that are available, covering a breadth of different issues or a breadth of different topics. These are offered in 1 hour, half-day, or full-day workshops. We have 90 trainers nationally, with 60 in Ontario, and we actually have trainers internationally as well. So we have licensed the program to some international partners that run the training down in the United States and currently looking at moving over into the United Kingdom. Another portion of the business is our Certified Psychological Health and Safety Advisor course. That's a 2-day course which addresses the National Standard for Psychological Health and Safety. It equips trainees with the skills and knowledge required to begin the implementation process in a workplace. So the type of people that take that course are typically occupational health and safety advisors. It might be a VP of human resources. It could also be a private consultant that's looking to add this to a list of qualifications that they have, because let's be frank, the Canadian Mental Health Association is the Kleenex brand of mental health in the country, right? It runs 4 to 5 times a year, typically here in the province of Ontario. It is run nationally, and our next training dates are in June 2019 and September 2019, with probably another date going to be announced in December. And what I'm going to encourage you to do, if you want to hear more about the program, because I did want to leave room for questions, but now it sounds like I have time for questions at the end, because you'll ask all of us questions, is just go onto our website. So that's www.mhworks.ca, and you can read about more information on this. I will say that we also have some policy documents that will be coming out shortly. We just released our accommodation guide for managers and staff here in the province of Ontario. And very shortly, we're going to be striking a working group to create a guidebook for the agricultural sector in the province, addressing mental health in the workplace. So thanks for your time. I know I'm standing between you and pizza, potentially. So happy to answer any questions otherwise.
Anybody have any questions about the program?
Clear as mud? Yeah? All right, perfect. Thanks.